On emptiness of cause and emptiness of effect. What is emptiness? For Buddhists, emptiness is a way to look at the nature of the world. Not only do we need to learn Buddhism, but we also need to transcend beyond time and space. Learning to understand emptiness as a view about the nature of the world, and that such emptiness is absolute. However, there are numerous types of emptiness. Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism understand the term emptiness in different ways. Theravada tradition understands emptiness as the emptiness of self. What does that mean? The self is empty. There is no permanent vitality in the world. There is the view that self is controlled by vitality. However, in fact, no vitality can ever control the self in this world. This is Theravada tradition's understanding of emptiness. In addition, Theravada tradition talks about the emptiness of effect. In terms of the cause-effect relationship, they view all the effects and all the reality as empty. All compounds in the world are empty of a permanent fundamental element. Emptiness of effect means that my vitality is actually empty. The element of the vitality that controls me is eternally empty. It does not really exist. For example, water, a compound, is made up of molecules. But when water evaporates, does the water exist? Another example, a person's thought can last for 1 or 2 seconds, but it can vanish within the same lapse of time. Nothing is left. Why such a good theory not recognized by Mahayana tradition? It is because this theory is still built on the concept of existence. That is, the emptiness it refers to is built on the concept of the existence of emptiness. So, when you ground your argument of emptiness on the existence of emptiness, clearly there is still existence. It is not empty. In contrast, Mahayana tradition talks about the emptiness of cause. Even the cause, in the context of the cause-effect relationship, is empty, let alone the effect. The cause is non-existent. For example, someone made a negative comment about you. You should just ignore it. Without the cause, you will not feel angry nor sad, and there will be no effects. However, from Theravada tradition's perspective, the effect will take place in your mind. When you hear the negative comment, you then eliminate the cause. But for emptiness of cause, the cause does not exist at all. As such, no effect should take place in the mind. That is what Mahayana Buddhism advocates. Mahayana tradition maintains that even the fundamental elements that form all matters are also empty. As the Chinese school of Buddhism says, originally, there is not a single thing. Where can dust alight? Mahayana tradition also talks about the emptiness of dharmas. This means that everything that we see with our eyes is completely empty and non-existent. As everything in the world is empty, we should not allow yourself to develop attachments, anger, or delusion. Mahayana Buddhism explains that the origin of the world is empty. The world is inherently empty and unreal. All things in this natural world are illusory. What is real then? For example, a couple may be loving each other deeply and affectionately today, but hate each other like enemies few days later. Isn't this unreal? Hence, one must possess intelligence and wisdom to overcome their ignorance. When you start to feel that all phenomena in this world are fictitious, this sense of unreal and illusion, in a sense, demonstrates the concept of nominal existence. All that you own at this present moment are temporary. They are not real, and their existence is merely nominal. If everything you own today is lost, then it's gone. For example, when our parents pass away, then they are gone. The existence of anything in the world is just nominal. Never assume that something can belong to you forever when it is yours. Everything changes. We must adopt this dynamic perspective and objective mentality to look at things. Then you will not shed tears, feeling upset or sad. Adopt a dynamic perspective, not a simple one-sided slant, to analyze a problem. Then you will always live a life filled with hope. When one lives amidst hope, they will feel the world is wonderful and has limitless potential. On the contrary, if one sees a stationary, unchanging world, then the world will appear to be doomed, where all hope is lost, and they may even want to give up on their lives. Remember, self-harm is never an option for a wise person, for it is an ideation of the unwise and a disconcerted mind. You must use your potential for awakening to experience life. Cultivating the mind is a practice of self-restraint. It is an advance of our spiritual state. However, it is an arduous process. That's why spiritual practice is often associated with asceticism. We must control ourselves to be able to refrain from any forms of desire and correct all sorts of shortcomings. Only after correcting our shortcomings are we one step closer to attaining enlightenment.